July 2024 marked a very special occasion in Chappel and Waistcombe.
First of all, welcome to the 175th anniversary of the Chappel Viaduct and Gauge Line celebration.
The arrival of the first railway to Sudbury from Marks Tay on the 2nd of July 1849 changed the lives and face of the Essex region forever.
The railway first arrived at Marks Tay in 1843, leading to Colchester and beyond. The Stour Valley Railway line actually opened on the 9th of August 1865, linking Marks Tay to Shelford near Cambridge, with 13 stations along the line.
Giving us one of the area's now iconic industrial views, delighting and inspiring people for generations.
A project like this, to arraign all 32 arches in a row, needs a wall at least 18 metres in length. And it took me about 4 years to actually paint them, but really they were in my head in gestation for over 30 years.
Chappel Viaduct stands proud today, a living testament to the achievements of a bygone age.
And what we have down here are 7 million bricks, the largest brick Victorian structure in East Anglia, in a county that is flat.
And then suddenly 1,500 navvies turn up and build this brick structure, and then put a steam engine on it. Whoa, when the churches were full.
Throughout July, both the village and the East Anglian Railway Museum came together to celebrate the railway's enduring legacy.
As a native of Essex, I have known Chappel Viaduct all my life.
And we've got you here today, and it's fantastic. The sun's come out.
And it is wonderful that 175 years later, it is still in regular use.
The start of the 175th anniversary began with the unveiling of a very special set of paintings on the 15th of June.
As we can see here, this iconic structure which spans the valley dates back 175 years now. Wladyslaw portrayed it in extreme detail. Most people nowadays drive under it or go over the top of it looking in their mobile phones, don't even really give it a second look. But at the time it was built, it was the biggest brick-built structure in East Anglia. When you consider that the local communities were sort of isolated, insulated, probably didn't really know where Halstead or Colchester was, focused on the local agricultural communities around the area. And then suddenly 1,500 navvies turn up and build this brick structure, and then put a steam engine on it. Whoa, when the churches were full.
My name is Wladyslaw Mirecki. I've been in Chappel since 1986, and I first came to Chappel working on a Manpower Services Commission scheme at the Railway Museum, working part-time in order to supplement my income as a painter, because I'd given up my career in London in order to take up the brush. And initially I was sleeping in a railway carriage on site, and I moved to what became Chappel Galleries, that was begun by my wife-to-be, Edna. And it wasn't until I moved there where I could see the whole of the viaduct arraigned from the premises, And that gave me the idea of painting each arch, because each arch is a framed picture in its own right. But a project like this, to arraign all 32 arches in a row, needs a wall at least 18 metres in length. And we just simply don't have the space at Chappel Galleries to do that. So the museum kindly invited me to exhibit here, and they brought in these display panels, which is good because I could display the east side on one side of the panel and the west side on the other side of the panel. And it took me about 4 years to actually paint them, but really they were in my head in gestation for over 30 years. So you could say that they took me about 35 years to do. But the actual execution, sitting down and doing it, took about 4 years to do all 64 paintings, which is twice as long as it took to build the viaduct.
As a native of Essex, I have known Chappel Viaduct all my life. It is incredible that this early Victorian brick structure is now celebrating its 175th anniversary. I am old enough to remember the original Colne Valley Railway, which joined the Stour Valley line just north of Chappel and Wakes Colne, and I therefore remember going over the viaduct some 65 years ago. The viaduct is one of the major and best known landmarks in Essex, and in fact it is one of the largest railway brick structures in the country. It is an important part of our industrial and railway heritage, and it is wonderful that 175 years later it is still in regular use. Much has been written about the viaduct over the years, and it has been the subject of many photographs, drawings, and yes, paintings. However, I can be reasonably confident that no artist has undertaken so many paintings of the viaduct as the very talented Wladyslaw, who painted 64 watercolours of both the east and west views of each arch.
It puts pay to the myth that Essex is flat and boring, because you don't build a great big 80-foot tall viaduct in flat country, you know. Ribbleheads is in country you'd expect a viaduct, whereas this is much more elegant, because, you know, when they built these things, it was new technology at the time. And to give a sense of permanency and grace, in this instance, it's very Romanesque, the proportions. So they resorted to classical architecture in order to produce something of great beauty.
You can feel the love of this building, you can feel the love of people like Peter and all the volunteers that are in the bricks and mortar and the history of here. It's just it's a very, very fitting place to display these 64 fantastic paintings. For me, to be able to see them all together, you know, you look at these, you can see paintings like this and they adorn our houses and our pubs and our public spaces, but it's in an exhibition space in the gallery where you get the sense of the complete set, the whole work together. It's very powerful. I think it's a very powerful work of art. And art and paintings speak to us in ways, stories, poems speak to us in ways that photographs and the granular detail of the reality sometimes don't. And I feel it very strongly from these wonderful set of paintings.
We are on the foothills of, just the next valley across is Gainsborough and Constable country. So I like to think I'm in that number, you know, of distinguished artists that have lived and worked in the region. But there's no other artist that I'm aware of that has made a particular feature of the viaduct. I've painted it countless times over the 38 years since I've been living here.
And Wag, of course, whose associations go back many years to the 1980s, when he was actually on a scheme to build our restoration shed. which is open for viewing. It's a bit like Fred Dibner's backyard, but you're welcome to come along and look around in there behind the nuts and bolts and the scene of the evolutionary story of the technology and the communities that surrounded the railway. Guided tours are free, it's just £20 to get out the door.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, thank you, good. I'm an Essex boy. After my degree and I left London, I came back home because I am a country boy. My folks came from Kelvedon. I was born in Chelmsford myself, and so it just feels like home to me.
We were sitting in the Thatcher's Arms together on one of our jaunts up there in the evening, and he was the long-haired hippie sitting there strumming his guitar. Bit of a change now on chat, but there you go. Just thought I'd throw that on you.
Yeah, I just don't play the guitar anymore. When I first came here on an MSc scheme, I lived in a railway carriage, slept in a railway carriage rather. I showered in the restoration shed, but my parlour was at Thatcher's Arms down the road. And Corrie looked after me. Yes. And looked after all of us. All the railway boys used to go there. And we had such marvellous sessions. And it was a pub of the old school. It was a wet pub. She happened to throw in some food occasionally. And there were quiet moments, and you could speak with Corrie about the old days. You can't do that with publicans these days. And Corrie used to talk about the Second World War, counting the flyers as they went on their raids out over Germany. And then at dawn, counting them back in again. Who survived and who didn't. And she used to talk about a local who used to ride on his motorbike with the Luftwaffe pilot's helmet on his head.
Yes.
That crashed in the vicinity, and he looted it and wore it wherever he went. So my introduction to Chappel and living here is very deeply ingrained with the marvellous people and marvellous stories and the marvellous history and the marvellous beautiful landscape, by the way, which I don't just paint viaducts. So if you have the time, you can bumble down the road and go to Chappel Galleries, where I reside, and see paintings other than the viaduct.
And I would like to pay tribute to everybody in the museum who's striven forward to bring it to where it is today, and are continuing to do so, and also to all those members who have helped put this lot together for you today. And we do have a steam engine.
At the end of June, as the anniversary arrived, a very special event was put together by the village community and the East Anglian Railway Museum. An open day event, including the annual village fete, but with a difference. Working displays of antique cars and traction engines with the running locomotives. The Essex and South Suffolk Rail Partnership also supported the special weekend, as well as producing a mix of decorative installations, like this wooden train planter display, made by the men's shed team of Southminster and Chappel and Wakestone's very own station adopters. Meanwhile, they also commissioned anniversary designs that were drawn up by the pupils of Chappel Primary School. Greater Anglia too got involved to mark the occasion.
First of all, welcome to the 175th anniversary of the Chappel Viaduct and Gainsborough line celebration. Without further ado, I'll hand you across to Alan Neville from the Greater Anglia Railway.
Delighted to be the introduction today, and I'm delighted with actually starting more or less on time, and of course our trains always start on time, don't they? Of course. It's fantastic to be here today. This is a very, very, very special occasion, a very, very special weekend, and for me it's a very, very special line as well. So we're here to celebrate the opening of the line and the wonderful viaduct. For me, there's a lot of things that are very, very special about it. One is the scenery, the other, the locations, and of course, I must mention the East Anglian Railway Museum as well. This is a very special place. But above all that, it's about the people and the communities that actually use this line, and for us at Greater Anglia, it's a very, very special line to serve. I first came across it probably about 10 years ago now, when I was actually asked to manage this line as the area customer service manager, and I got to know the adopters and community rail organisations pretty much for the first time then, and realised there was something very, very special about it. And it was always a privilege to use the line pretty much every other day actually, because my commute was over from Cambridge, and as we all know there's a missing link between Cambridge and Sudbury, which disappeared under Dr. Beeching. So the railway first arrived at Markstay in 1843, leading to Colchester and beyond. The Stour Valley Railway line actually opened on the 9th of August 1865, linking Markstay to Shelford near Cambridge, with 13 stations along the line. The section between Shelford and Sudbury was closed on the 6th of March 1967, following the Beeching cuts. And that left Bures and Chappel and Wakestones as the only stops between the termini. Apparently in 1963 there were 7 season ticket holders travelling to London, and the station master would park their cars for them and personally deliver their season tickets to their homes. Now for me that is true customer service. Even I can't emulate that customer service. That is brilliant stuff. So the present day railway operates between Markstay and Sudbury, and the line was fully open for traffic on the 2nd of July 1849. And its primary use was to bring farm and loom produce from Sudbury to Colchester and the riverside port at Hythe. The original train service comprised 4 trains in each direction, but only on weekdays. But of course, as we all know, the greatest obstacle to actually completing the line was crossing the Colne Valley at Chappel. So construction on the viaduct began in 1847. The original plan was to span the valley with a timber arch on brick piers, but this was changed when brick earth was found on site to enable the viaduct's 7 million bricks to be made. Apparently there was a plan to build it with wood originally, but apparently somebody was persuaded to actually build it with bricks, which I think was probably the best idea. And we've got you here today, and it's fantastic. The sun's come out, and I'd now, at this point, like to welcome some more distinguished visitors who also want to speak today. And we've also, as you've probably seen, I've got a choir behind me as well. So I think next it's the Mayoress of Colchester.
A stronger involvement of the village schools. Scouts, support groups and East Anglian Museum and local communities along the Gainsborough line. That is so important and makes such a difference. Improvements to the look of the community through the development of new gardens and stations, I love that. A celebration of the wide range of skills used by volunteers and the way they serve their communities. This leads to a sense of well-being and appreciation. Again, this is so important. Recognition of what can be achieved informally over a cup of tea and homemade cake. Cake is always the way to go, especially homemade. I'm sure that the existing and new friendships will continue to grow and develop further, which, at the end of the day, is good for everyone and benefits the wider community. A 175-year anniversary is a phenomenal achievement, and I wish to pay tribute to all the volunteers who have made this possible in the past and present, and look forward to seeing this continue into the future. Huge congratulations and thank you.
Mayor of Colchester, I'm showing off now, perhaps I'm properly. Brilliant. I'd like to invite Sir Bob Russell, the High Steward of Colchester. There we go. Sir Bob Russell.
Thank you very much. Deputy Lord Lieutenant, Madam Mayor, Madam Mayoress, everybody here, with particular mention to the young people behind me. The reason I mention that, because in 25 years' time, they'll be here for the 200th anniversary. And they'll remember today, and we need them to tell people in 25 years ago what it was all about. And I think it's fantastic that the Chappel Primary School has been involved. One of the hats I wear is Honorary President of the East Anglian Railway Museum. And I'd like to pay tribute to all the volunteers and the paid staff who over the last 50 years have developed what you are seeing here today. They are an incredible group of people. Yeah, a round of applause for the East Anglian Railway Museum. I'd like to echo the sentiments made by the Mayor and the opening speaker from Greater Anglia. This is very much a community project, the Gainsborough line, all that is done by volunteers. If we cast our mind back to 175 years ago, and everybody will tell you that Essex is flat, well, you've only got to look at the Colne Valley to realise that is not the case. And what we have down here are 7 million bricks made on site, the largest brick Victorian structure in East Anglia, in a county that is flat. I can recommend that you travel on this line for leisure or work or whatever, because it is a delight from March Day to Sudbury. Sudbury, a beautiful market town, well worth visiting. So it's a very brief speech, but I just want to, on behalf of the East Anglian Railway Museum, thank everybody who's been associated with preparing and carrying out the 170th anniversary. It's a wonderful occasion. It's been a real pleasure to be here, and I end where I started by saying how pleased I am that the Chappel Primary School young pupils are here. I repeat, because in 25 years they'll be in pole position for the 200th anniversary. Thank you.
175 years ago, a village idyll let in a technological innovation that connected it to the rest of Great Britain better than ever before. Today, we often take those achievements for granted. The viaduct, the railway line, and the wider community created. But Chappel is a far greater place because of them, and the people that not only made them, but also help it to continue to succeed day after day. And that's always a good cause for celebration.
There's one person who's really made this possible today. Let's all give a great big round of applause to Kath Beck. She is absolutely amazing. She is one of our 330 stationer doctors working throughout Greater Anglia who give massive amounts of time towards improving our stations with the most amazing displays of colour. They established community links throughout wonderful towns and villages we've got on our routes. She's actually already presented a garland of flowers to the driver of my train this morning, because on the day the line opened, there was an arch built of flowers and wood at Marks Tay for the first steam train to pass under. Now, unfortunately, unlike Kath, who actually got it absolutely right today, on the day they didn't get it right, and unfortunately they forgot about the height of the actual chimney on the train. And what happened was that the train, because of the height of the chimney, actually carried the arch all the way to Sudbury on the train. So Kath got it right. And I think you'll all agree that Kath and her colleagues actually really epitomise what it really means about station adoption. She is amazing, and the Community Rail Partnership, Jane, June and her colleagues are absolutely amazing as well. Can I have one more round of applause, please, for all of them?
I can't remember what I was going to say now. I think that's enough. Okay, thank you very much.
I'd like to announce that we are actually operating a steam train today for your entertainment and further enjoyment. So
That's right.
If you want the next train, it's just going.